My $800 billion project will illuminate Africa and create a world filled with pride and strength, demonstrating that Africa can rise through its own abilities. In the heart of West Africa, surrounded by vast deserts and rough terrain, lies Burkina Faso, a small landlocked nation often ignored on the international scene for many years. This country has battled poverty, scarce resources, and an absence of basic services such as electricity and clean drinking water. Countless residents in rural communities were left in the dark after sunset, with homes unlit, schools powerless, and hospitals unable to run vital medical equipment. Today, however, Burkina Faso is changing its narrative through a groundbreaking $800 billion hydroelectric development, poised to transform not only the nation but the whole African continent. This remarkable effort, championed by the visionary Captain Ibrahim Traoré, is far more than a plan for electricity. It is a bold statement of autonomy, a light of hope, and a strategy for a better tomorrow. The globe watches in amazement as this modest nation embraces ambition, proving that Africa is capable of shaping its own future and becoming a leader in creativity, resilience, and advancement. The magnitude of this initiative is immense. With a budget of $800 billion, it ranks among the largest infrastructure ventures globally. Initially, skeptics dismissed it, declaring it unrealistic for a nation like Burkina Faso, limited by a modest economy and a tough history, to undertake such an enormous task. But Captain Traoré, a young and resolute leader, had a different perspective. He believed in the power of Burkina Faso's rivers, its diligent citizens, and its untapped capabilities to forge something incredible. His aim is to establish a system of 11 dams along the Mahun River, integrated with an intelligent electric grid that will supply clean and steady energy to 15 West African nations. This effort extends beyond lighting homes. It's about energizing schools, clinics, industries, and agriculture, generating millions of jobs and paving a path where every African is empowered to thrive. As workers mix concrete, set up turbines, and stretch thousands of miles of power lines, the dream moves closer to reality. Burkina Faso is beginning to stand out as a trailblazer in a new chapter for Africa. This undertaking symbolizes hope and resistance. For too long, African countries have been seen as reliant on international assistance, their resources drained while their people endured hardship. Traoré's strategy confronts this image by collaborating with rising nations, such as Cuba, Iran, and Brazil instead of Western powers. He's proving that Africa can determine its own destiny and construct its own legacy. The $800 billion plan sends a message: Burkina Faso and Africa do not need rescuers. They need access, infrastructure, and the chance to shine. As the dams grow and the lights begin to glow, Burkina Faso shows that even a small country can reach greatness with bold vision. To grasp the full weight of this development, one must understand Burkina Faso's background. Previously called Upper Volta, the country achieved independence from France in 1960. However, freedom didn't lead to prosperity. Much of the land is dry, blanketed with desert and savanna where rainfall is unpredictable. Farming, the main livelihood, has always been difficult due to water scarcity and erratic weather. Many people lived in poverty, struggling to obtain food, clean water, or basic medical care. Electricity was a luxury enjoyed by a small minority, primarily in cities like Ouagadougou, Dori, and Bobo-Dioulasso. Even in those places, frequent blackouts disrupted daily life, shutting down businesses, schools, and homes unexpectedly. In rural communities, the situation was worse: no electricity at all, forcing families to rely on candles, kerosene lamps, or wood fires for light and cooking. These alternatives were costly, hazardous, and harmful to the environment, releasing smoke that damaged health and fueled deforestation. Children couldn't study after sunset, curbing their education and prospects. Rural hospitals found it nearly impossible to refrigerate medicine or operate critical devices, risks that endangered lives. Imagine a doctor performing surgery by candlelight or a family losing a loved one because a ventilator lacked power. These hardships weren't just obstacles. They were serious setbacks, preventing Burkina Faso and its people from realizing their potential. On the political front, Burkina Faso experienced its share of turmoil, coup attempts, and unstable leadership that disrupted economic growth. While foreign aid helped the nation survive, it often came with strings attached, limiting Burkina Faso's independence. For example, financial support might require them to purchase oil or tools from designated countries, keeping the nation reliant on others. This dependency created a cycle where Burkina Faso could never completely steer its own course. Captain Ibrahim Traoré assumed leadership in Arling following a military coup. Many citizens were disillusioned and eager for transformation, and Traoré pledged to bring about that change. He viewed electricity as the gateway to unlocking Burkina Faso's true capabilities, not only for his nation but for the entire West African region. His $800 billion hydroelectric initiative emerged from this convincing, bold strategy to leave behind past limitations and construct a future where every individual has the chance to succeed. Captain Ibrahim Traoré is far from an ordinary leader. He is young, resolute, and deeply patriotic. He rose to power with a focused mission: to make Burkina Faso strong, self-sufficient, and prosperous. Unlike previous administrations that leaned heavily on foreign aid, Traoré aimed to tap into Burkina Faso's own natural resources to tackle its challenges. He turned his eyes toward the Mohune River, one of the country's most significant waterways, and saw tremendous potential. Rivers have long provided power from ancient mills to present-day hydroelectric facilities. Traoré believed that by utilizing the Mohune's current, Burkina Faso could generate enough energy to transform not just itself, but the region at large. The vision was extraordinary in its ambition, and $800 billion planned to build 11 colossal dams along the Mohune River, all linked to a high-tech electric grid that would distribute power to 15 West African nations. This was not simply about constructing a few dams, it was about establishing a full-scale integrated system designed to supply clean and consistent electricity. These dams would capture the force of rushing water to rotate immense turbines, which would then send power through transmission lines to cities, towns, and rural communities across the region. The grid would be intelligent, using modern technology to ensure power is delivered where it's most needed, minimizing waste and avoiding outages. The $800 billion cost stunned many around the globe. Critics called it overly expensive, risky, and far too ambitious for a country with a relatively small economy. Some even mocked the idea, calling it an unattainable fantasy. But Traoré remained steadfast. To him, this was not just a project. It was a long-term investment in West Africa's future. He maintained that access to electricity is a human right, not a luxury, and he was determined to make that right a reality. Rather than seek assistance from traditional Western powers, Traoré forged new alliances with developing countries such as Cuba, Iran, and Brazil. These nations contributed engineers, designers, and specialists who worked side by side with Burkina Faso's own workforce. This cooperation made a powerful statement. Africa can choose its own partners and chart its own course, without relying on those who had historically taken advantage of its wealth. At the heart of the $800 billion vision is the intricate network of 11 hydroelectric dams, stretching along the Mohune River. These structures are feats of modern engineering, towering constructions built from thousands of tons of steel and concrete. Constructing them is a monumental effort. The Mohune River winds through rugged and arid regions, requiring teams to blast through rock, level unstable terrain, and pour deep foundations capable of holding back millions of gallons of water. These dams are engineered to endure the harshest conditions: floods, droughts, and extreme climate shifts, ensuring they can supply energy for generations to come. Each dam is strategically placed and designed to function as part of a larger system. The 11 dams are distributed along the river's course to maximize electricity output. As water flows from one dam to the next, it spins turbines at every stage. These turbines function like enormous water-driven fans that convert movement into energy. In addition to producing power, the dams are outfitted with spillways and control gates to regulate water levels. During the rainy season, they prevent flooding, and in dry periods they conserve water. This design ensures that electricity generation continues year-round, even in Burkina Faso's unpredictable climate. The construction phase is massive in scale. Thousands of workers operate bulldozers, cranes, and trucks hauling heavy materials. Advanced technology plays a crucial role. Local citizens are being trained to manage sophisticated machinery, install turbines, and maintain the systems, creating a skilled workforce and a sense of national pride. But these dams represent more than just power stations. They are monuments to what Burkina Faso can achieve when united under a common goal. While the dams form the core of the operation, the smart electric grid is the control center. This grid operates like an expansive network that will distribute power from the Mohune River to 15 West African countries, from landlocked nations like Niger and Mali to coastal hubs like Nigeria and Senegal. It's more than just a web of electrical cables. It's an advanced system powered by artificial intelligence (AI), designed to manage electricity in real time and ensure that homes, schools, and businesses receive exactly the power they need. This smart grid operates with precision and flexibility. For instance, if a city in Ghana requires additional energy during the day to keep its factories running, the system redirects extra power there. If a small village in Togo needs lighting at night so children can study, the grid ensures electricity is available. The AI carefully manages the flow of energy, minimizing outages and reducing excess usage. In addition to hydroelectric power, the grid includes solar energy as a backup. If one component breaks down, the system continues running. This marks a massive upgrade from older, unreliable networks that often left entire communities without power for hours or even days. The new grid promises to revolutionize daily life in West Africa. In remote regions, families will finally enjoy lighting in their homes, enabling children to read and learn after sunset. Hospitals will operate life-saving equipment like ventilators and imaging machines without relying on loud, costly generators. Small businesses will flourish with consistent access to energy, ranging from street vendors using mobile payment apps to large factories manufacturing goods for export. For example, a market trader in Senegal will use a smartphone to sell goods online without fear of power loss. A farmer in Mali will be able to run electric irrigation pumps, keeping crops watered even during droughts. This grid is changing electricity from a luxury into a basic human right, empowering millions to enhance their quality of life. Although the grid is scheduled to be fully operational by 2030, portions are already functional. In some towns, lights are glowing for the very first time, sparking celebrations. Business owners are planning for expansion, confident that dependable electricity will support growth. Across the region, the grid is inspiring hope to men. What becomes possible when access to energy is no longer a limitation? One of the most inspiring aspects of this $800 billion project is the employment it's generating. Over 1.5 million people in Burkina Faso are already involved, and that figure continues to climb. These roles span many fields, from heavy construction and welding to high-tech work like turbine design and AI system programming. Workers are gaining valuable skills, earning steady incomes, and sustaining their families. For many, it's their first opportunity to contribute to something of national importance, something capable of reshaping their country's future. Captain Traore made an intentional decision to prioritize domestic talent. Instead of outsourcing labor to international firms, he concentrated on educating and empowering Burkina Faso's own citizens. This approach has fostered national pride and a deep sense of ownership. Young people who once felt uncertain about their futures are becoming engineers, operators, and leaders. For example, a young woman who previously sold goods on the street may now be maneuvering a crane at a dam site. A man who once migrated to Europe in search of work might return home to develop AI systems for the smart grid. These kinds of transformations are happening throughout the nation as people realize what's possible. The initiative is also drawing the attention of global businesses. More than 40 environmentally focused tech companies have launched operations near the dam sites, contributing innovation and fresh ideas. These firms are developing renewable solutions such as wind turbines and solar panels, setting the stage for Burkina Faso to lead in sustainable energy. Some observers are even referring to the region around the dams as the Silicon Valley of African energy due to the explosion of tech innovation. These companies are hiring locals and expanding job creation, but the project's influence stretches beyond energy and infrastructure. It's also revolutionizing agriculture. With power from the dams, new irrigation systems are allowing farmers to grow crops year-round. Previously, Burkina Faso's dry climate made farming a struggle, with erratic rainfall destroying harvests and causing hunger. Now, thanks to electric water pumps, farmers are cultivating premium crops such as mangoes, tomatoes, and rice. These agricultural products are reaching not only local markets but also international ones in places like Dubai and Europe. This is generating new income for households and elevating Burkina Faso's standing as a key player in African agriculture. The $800 billion project is doing far more than just building dams. It's laying the foundation for a new economy and a brighter future for millions of people. The $800 billion project is doing far more than supplying fueling an economic revolution. Each dam constructed, each turbine installed, and every cable connected represents an opportunity for Burkina Faso and its neighboring countries to strengthen their economies. The employment generated by this initiative is putting money into the hands of workers, which in turn boosts local businesses like corner shops, eateries, and markets. As more people find stable jobs, the economy flourishes and new enterprises from grassroots startups to full-scale manufacturing plants begin to emerge. The initiative is also reshaping entire industries. Modern irrigation systems, energized by the new dams, are revolutionizing agriculture. Farmers are no longer restricted by seasonal droughts. They can now grow crops all year long. This increased productivity means families have more than enough food, and the surplus can be sold for profit. For instance, a farmer in the Sahel region of Burkina Faso might now harvest enough tomatoes to supply bustling markets in Nigeria or Ghana. The resulting income is helping households upgrade their living conditions, send children to school, and reinvest in their communities. Additionally, the nation is exporting more crops internationally, earning valuable foreign currency. These funds are being channeled into critical infrastructure like schools, hospitals, and transportation networks, but the impact doesn't stop within Burkina Faso's borders. As the smart electric grid connects 15 West African nations, the economic momentum is spreading. Businesses across the region are thriving. In Ghana, factories now operate consistently without the fear of blackouts, producing textiles and electronics for export. Nigeria's markets are thriving, with traders using reliable electricity to power digital sales platforms. Mali's schools are gaining access to computers and the internet, equipping students with the knowledge and tools to compete on a global level. This is creating a powerful ripple effect where one country's progress uplifts the entire region. The project is also attracting a wave of foreign investment. Companies around the world recognize the promise of West Africa's emerging energy hub and want a stake in its future. They're establishing local offices, hiring regional workers, and introducing new technologies to the market. For example, a renewable energy firm might launch a factory to manufacture solar panels, employing hundreds of people. A logistics company might invest in fleets of trucks to transport agricultural products from inland Burkina Faso to sea. This inflow of capital and innovation is unlocking even more opportunities across the region, transforming not just Burkina Faso but all of West Africa into a dynamic center of innovation and prosperity. When Captain Traore first revealed the $800 billion plan, many Western observers dismissed it. They believed a small, economically challenged country like Burkina Faso lacked the means or expertise to carry out such a vast, complex initiative. Some critics even scoffed at the ambition behind it. But as the hydroelectric dams rise and the smart grid becomes reality, international perceptions are shifting. The world is beginning to take notice and some nations are even growing concerned. Countries like China, Russia, and India are now eager to partner with Burkina Faso. They recognize the nation's determination and vision. China has pledged investment in satellite energy research labs to develop cutting-edge technologies. Russia is dispatching engineers to support dam construction. India is negotiating access to the regional grid to help power its rapidly expanding economy. These collaborations prove that Burkina Faso is no longer perceived as a recipient of charities, an emerging leader in the global energy sector. Countries that once ignored Burkina Faso are now rushing to get involved. They realize that Africa's energy future is being shaped without them and they don't want to be left behind. Europe, in particular, is paying attention to Burkina Faso's clean energy vision. As the world shifts away from fossil fuels, nations are searching for reliable sources of renewable power. Burkina Faso's hydroelectric dams could one day provide electricity beyond West Africa, reaching as far as North Africa and even Europe through a proposed $20 billion extension beneath the Sahara Desert. If that happens, Burkina Faso will become a key player in the global energy economy, an outcome no one expected from a small landlocked country. But this project is about more than energy. It's a bold statement of independence. For centuries, Africa's natural wealth was stripped away by colonial powers, leaving its people with little benefit. Captain Traore's vision is aimed at ending that cycle. Every watt of electricity generated by the dams is a declaration of self. Every agreement signed with emerging partners is a rejection of the outdated model that treated Africa as a resource pit. Now, Burkina Faso is negotiating from a position of strength, choosing allies, setting terms, and leading with purpose. This transformation is impossible to ignore. It's a geopolitical shift, reshaping how Africa is viewed and respected around the world. Captain Ibrahim Traore's $800 billion project is not simply a plan to build infrastructure, it's the legacy that will shape the continent for generations. He didn't start this to win applause from international leaders or collect global awards. He did it to give his people dignity, to light their homes, and to equip them with the tools to pursue their dreams. He did it to prove that Africa doesn't need permission to succeed. It deserves admiration and respect. In 10 years, Burkina Faso will be almost unrecognizable. The new dams and smart grid will power high-speed trains, linking cities, making travel faster and more efficient. Green city, sustainable, modern, and thriving will rise where there was once only dust. Digital schools equipped with internet and computers will prepare students for a competitive global workforce. Vertical farming, growing food in multi-story buildings, will create jobs and increase food security. Youth across the nation will step into roles as engineers, scientists, and business leaders, all because of the foundation being laid today. And Burkina Faso's example is spreading. Countries like Niger, Togo, and Sierra Leone are watching closely. Inspired by its progress, they're drafting their own bold energy blueprints. They see what's possible when a nation dares to believe in itself and its people. Traore's vision is becoming a movement. Across the continent, Africa is no longer waiting for others to fix its problems, it's solving them on its own, with its own minds, hands, and determination. This $800 billion hydroelectric initiative is only the beginning. As the dams come online and the smart grid expands, West Africa is becoming more connected, more powerful, and more united. Electricity is no longer a privilege for the few, it's a right for everyone. Villages that once sat in darkness now glow with light. Businesses that struggled are thriving. Young people who once felt hopeless are now building futures filled with opportunity. This is a revolution not just of energy but of hope, pride, and limitless potential. Burkina Faso is proving that Africa doesn't need to ask for a seat at the table. It's building its own table, powered by its own hands, 1 megawatt at a time. If this story moves you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Tell the world about Burkina Faso's extraordinary journey from a nation often overlooked to a beacon of global innovation. As the turbines spin and the lights come on, one thing is clear: Africa's future is bright because it is being built by Africans, for Africans.